A groundbreaking vaccine, prank calling the president, and Biden's victory. This is your TLDR News daily briefing for Monday, November 9th. Before we dive into the news stories today, in Friday's briefing, I announced the second edition of Brexit the Colouring Book, with this version featuring 6 new pictures and taking the story all the way through to today. Anyway, the reason I'm mentioning it again now is that we also offered £3 off any copy, and that offer ends tonight at midnight. To get your discount, use code TLDRDaily at checkout. So, moving on to the first story in the news today. We're happy to be able to say that despite our writers urging caution when discussing the vaccine, it seems today that we have a genuine reason to be optimistic. The reason we urged caution is because even with the mass rollout of a vaccine, it was likely to be maybe 75% effective. If 75% of the public received the vaccine, far more than we could reasonably expect, then only 56% of people would actually be immune. This is far below the figure required for herd immunity to kick in, and for the virus to be eradicated. However, the news today is the vaccine being produced by Pfizer appears to be 90% effective. This exceeded expectations of many scientists, and what that means in reality is that if the additional analysis and testing continues to show this level of effectiveness, this could be rolled out by the end of the month to healthcare professionals and vulnerable people. Pfizer has said that this is a great day for science and humanity, a sentiment we'd like to echo. We'll cover this more in future episodes as the story evolves, so be sure to subscribe for more updates. In the second news story today, after the president contested the results of the US election, claiming that it was inundated with fraudulent ballots, a claim he has so far not produced any evidence for, the Trump campaign has established a hotline for voters to report electoral fraud. However, while the president was probably hoping that the hotline will produce the evidence he's been looking for, this doesn't appear to have been the case thus far. Instead, the hotline has been rife with prank calls, initially started by Twitter and TikTok users. Many had called insisting to speak to Rudy Giuliani, or simply mocking the president on his election defeat. Eric Trump, the son of the president, has blamed the Democratic Party for making the calls. The Trump campaign, though, has seemed keen to make clear that the hotline has been very effective. Exactly how much evidence it finds, and how it will wade through them all to determine what is and isn't a prank, is still yet to be seen. Also, please don't take us reporting this story as us encouraging people to do this. Although there's currently no solid evidence of voter fraud in the US election, something that we've discussed twice on the US YouTube channel, if people do genuinely have reports of voter fraud, this should of course be investigated seriously and thoroughly. In the third and final story today, we discuss the biggest news from over the weekend. The reason that Trump had to set up this electoral fraud hotline is because on Saturday morning, the 2020 presidential election was called in Joe Biden's favour. This was following Pennsylvania being projected as a winning state for him. While Trump is contesting the victory and taking the issue to court, many leaders have congratulated the vice president, including British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. This certainly will make it difficult for the US to go back on their prediction that Joe Biden will become the 46th president of the United States, as many world leaders already see him as the next commander-in-chief. Having said that, it's not for them to decide who is and isn't the president, and the next few months will be an interesting time of uncertainty, where the US will decide whether its decision of who to lead the US through the remainder of the coronavirus pandemic was actually the right one. For those of you who think the news is too long, be sure to check out tomorrow's daily briefing. Read the newsletter by signing up at tldrnews.co.uk/daily. Listen to the briefing by searching for TLDR News in your podcast app, or watch the briefing over at youtube.com/TLDR Daily.